Hey guys, Katie here. Welcome back to my channel. And we're going to start off by saying this is a very different environment because this is my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. I'm here for Christmas. No, it did not look like this when I lived here. I was not this nice and neat and organized. I actually painted the room bright red because we were having a whole moment in our teenage years. But anyway, I'm going to be doing I think it's called the end of the year survey tag. I'm not totally sure. Gabby does it. I saw her do it like a week ago, and I was like, that sounds fun. Wanna participate. I think she created it. Don't quote me on that. Not totally positive. I went and watched the video again and couldn't find any solid basis on this, but it's 24 questions and it's to wrap up the end of the year and see how we're doing. So let's jump right into it. Question number 1 is how many books did I read this year? Now, I technically ended my reading year on December 21st, I believe. So any books that I read in those 10 days between then and the 31st, I'm counting toward 2021 because listen, I was just sick of it. So I read 145 books, which is absolutely astronomical. I think that my biggest reading year before that, since middle school was 34 books, I think, a year. So 145. Quarantine really did that. You know what I'm saying? Number 2 is my most read genre. So of the 145 books I read this year, 40 of them were thrillers, but 38 of them were fantasy. And nobody's more shocked than me. I did not see that coming. I'm a big mystery thriller fan, and clearly I read a lot of those. But sci-fi and fantasy being 38, what? I'm shook. But I'm definitely going to be reading a lot more of those in 2021. So I'm anticipating that fantasy will be my most read genre next year if the trajectory is going the way it is seemingly going. Question number 3 is the longest and the shortest book I read this year. The longest being A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. 720 pages. Not worth a single one of them. No. Okay, anyway, that'll come later. The shortest book I read this year was The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, which was only 64 pages. Worth every second. Oh my god, this could have been 160 pages and still been a novella and been absolutely fantastic. Gillian Flynn's mind, what the fuck? So good. Number 4 is my favorite book that was published in 2020. Now this is kind of a breakaway tie of Loveless by Alice Oseman and The Invisible Life by Addie LaRue. They're vastly different and I love them for vastly different reasons. I think I might have to say The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Oh god, Loveless, I have reading vlogs for both of them in which you will see many emotions, many thoughts, many feelings. Very spoilery, by the way. But Loveless was to me, it was so relatable and so incredibly impactful that it's definitely one of my favorite books of all time. But I think that The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is probably the most well-written book that I've ever read. I mean, that's high praise, but Victoria Schwab did that. Number 5 is my favorite debut book that I read this year, and I said Cemetery Boys because I really couldn't think of a single other debut novel that I'd read, and I know I have. No, wait. Catherine House. Did that come out this year? I don't know. I'm gonna say I think Catherine House came out last year. Oh my god, I don't know. I'm gonna say Cemetery Boys because I do think that Aiden Thomas really went there with the representation and went there with the cultural elements and the magic and everything, and the book is stunning. The artwork on the cover is stunning. The artwork under the dust jacket is stunning. As a debut novel, they just really hit it out of the park, so I'm gonna say that one. Number 6 is my favorite book that I read this year that was not published in 2020. And oh my god, how is this even a question? What am I supposed to say? You have already heard me talk so much about these books. Go watch my top 10 of 2020. Watch any of my other videos. I have reading vlogs for all my favorites, but I'll just list a couple. The Diviners, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Bunny, The Cabin at the End of the World, The Stranger Beside Me. All of those are absolutely fantastic. But I think that if I was picking an absolute favorite, oh god, I guess I would say The Diviners because I do think that to me personally, that book means a lot to me and I really love all the characters and I love the world so much. Yeah, The Diviners. Number 7 is so easy, and it is a book that lived up to the hype, and it is without a freaking doubt The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The hype was so real, and I literally in the beginning of the reading vlog, I'm like, what if I don't like it? What if I don't like it? What if everybody else in the world likes it and I don't? Oh my god. And oh my god, girl. It is chef's motherfucking kiss. So freaking good. And I was so worried about reading this because it's like a historical fiction and a romance. And I was like, historically not my thing. You know what I'm saying? So I was talking to this girl that I follow on like BookTube and Bookstagram, Jan, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna like listen to the audiobook. And she like slapped me in the face over the internet. She was like, if you're gonna listen to the audiobook, you might as well just not read it at all. And I was like, okay, heard you, sis. So I physically read it, and then Gabby from Gabby Reads, I was messaging her and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. I'm only going to read like 20 pages a day. And she was like, no, you're going to fall into it. Like, trust me, it's worth the hype. It's everything. And she finished it in like 2 days. And then I ended up finishing it in like 3 days, which is really quickly for me. And it was so worth the hype. Like, there's so many things about this book that will make you love it. Like, if you like historical fiction, if you like romance, if you like fantasy, if you like dark, if you like characters that have like a lot of gumption, if you like kind of like a dark fantasy, a dark romance. If you like any of those things, you're gonna love this book. If you love literary fiction even, like the freaking poetry of this book is absolutely You know what? Okay, let's just stop talking about Addie LaRue. Let's get back to the questions. Okay, never mind. We have another rant. Question number 8 is a book that did not live up to the hype, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. If you want to get a really developed thought about this book, I would I would listen to the last of Noelle Gallagher's reading vlog, like watch that, because she really puts it into perspective really well. But this book did not live up to the hype. I teared up like a couple times listening to it, but I went into it because I've seen so many people like absolutely sobbing reading this book and like saying it's so phenomenal, and I found it to be torture porn. It is the biggest trigger warning that has ever been written down ever. Like, the whole book is a trigger warning. There's not a single element of this book that isn't a trigger warning, and it all happens to one guy. I do think it's wrong to like be telling people that this is a good time, because it's not a good time. Like, it's the antithesis of a good time, okay? Like, if you want to be depressed, sure, okay, go to town. But if you don't want to be, don't read this book, and don't tell people to read it. Like, it's too sad. Let's move on. A book that felt like an accomplishment to read. And I will say The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, because again, as I already told you, I had a lot of back and forth on like whether or not I'd be able to do it, whether or not I was gonna like it. I thought that I was gonna get into a reading slump, which I kind of did, but like for different reasons. Like, I thought I was gonna slump out because it was gonna take me too long to read, and that did not end up happening. I did finish it for me in record time, and it is like in my opinion, a pretty lofty book. I mean, you know what, that's me. Other people are gonna be like, girl, what? You've read it. Why would you say that? But to me, it is a lofty book to read physically. So I am very proud of myself for reading it, and I did intake every single word. Like, I was not skimming at any point. So to me, this is an accomplishment. Oh my God. Is all of the questions gonna have Addie as the answer? Ugh. Question number 10, favorite character. I think that it's Addie LaRue. I really do. And I do think it's probably because like she's a type 8, like she is. Okay, fight me. If you know Enneagram, Addie LaRue is a type 8. And I'm a counterphobic type 6, which is commonly mistyped as being a type 8. So I found things about her relatable, but my best friend Grace is a type 8, and I saw a lot of her in this character, and I found that just so incredible. Like, I just loved her character so much. Like, she's such a fighter. She is so stubborn. She has such a strong will. She's hilarious. Like, she's just amazing. But I will, because I said Addie LaRue so much, I'm going to give you a couple other options. One is Georgia from Loveless, because I related to her on such a cosmic level. But then also Delilah Bard from the Shades of Magic series. I know that people kind of have like coin toss about her, like you either love her or hate her. I've never like really watched anybody's videos that don't like her. I've just heard that people don't like her. I've just never communicated with anybody that didn't like her, but I think she's amazing. I think she's badass. I love her. Also, honorable mention to the entire Diviners crew. All of them. Every single last one. I would take a bullet for the whole lot. They're amazing. Obsessed. Sam Lloyd is my king. Question 11 is my least favorite character. Now, the honest answer would be Nina from What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I don't think I've ever wanted to throttle a character more than Nina. Oh my God, she made me mad. Like I was listening to the audio and I would be putting on my makeup. I would like throw my brush at the mirror because I was so angry. Like she was so disgusting. I hated her. It was so annoying. And that made me like literally drop the star rating down, even though the plot twists were so good and the story was so interesting. But she pissed me off so much. And it's like, I can't even blame. Like, I shouldn't have given it a lower star rating. It just made me so angry. But, like, John Mars did that. It's like if you said that, like, Game of Thrones wasn't good because Joffrey sucked. It's like, yeah, that's, like, the show is good because it made you feel so much hatred. You know what I'm saying? Nina sucked. But anyway, I do have to give a super star honorable mention to Jericho from the Diviners because if you've been here for those reading vlogs, you already know. But Jericho freaking sucks. And let me just rewind to like 10 seconds ago when I said I'd take a bullet for any of the Diviners crew. Not Jericho. No. He can make it on his own. Like, I just really... Libba Bray. Why does he exist? He's so annoying. I didn't like him. Anyway, number 12 is the most shocking book / moment. And I would definitely say for the most shocking book, it would be I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Wow. I've heard the audiobook is super good. I can't speak on it. I do have it on hold on Libby, so I'm going to be reading it in 2021. But the book is like the biggest mindfuck you're ever gonna read. Like, I'm serious. Like, physically read it, and you have to keep flipping back the pages and being like, what's happening? What's happening? Oh my God. And like, it's not even like a moment in the book. It's like the entire last half of the book. Because the first half of the book, you're like, okay. And the second half of the book, you're like, okay. Like, it's insane. I would also give an honorable mention to Bunny by Mona Awad because Defa. Question number 13 is my favorite OTP or couple, and I'm so glad this question is on there because I have some answers. Okay, so for this year, my number one favorite, which just came about, is Nesta and Cassian from the ACOTAR series. ACOWAR is everything to me, and I cannot wait for Court of Silver Flames. I'm so excited. Nesta and Cassian. Everything. I read fan fiction about them. Okay, and that's like what makes somebody like an OTP or like my favorite couple is if I read fan fiction about them. And sis, I've read so much fan fiction about them, and I read the book like 3 weeks ago. Like, I'm obsessed. And then my two honorable mentions are Addie and Luke from The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I know apparently isn't like a popular OTP, but sue me. Like, fight me. I'm obsessed with them. And then also Sam and Evie from the Diviners. They're the king and queen of New York. Number 14, I've technically already answered earlier, but it is the most well-written book that I read this year, and it is absolutely The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The writing is just so poetic, it's lyrical, it's stunning, it's so beautiful. Number 14 is the book that I've pushed the most people to read in 2020. And this actually took me by surprise because I thought it was going to be Bunny because I literally won't stop talking about that book. But the one it actually is based on what I'm getting like comments on, what I get people like sending me on Instagram, like saying, pick this up because of like KSD Colson or whatever, or like messaging me saying they picked it up, is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid, which I don't know, like, I don't know what it is that I'm saying that's making people pick it up, but whatever it is, good, because you need to pick it up. It is so fantastic. Like, I'm obsessed. I just find it so interesting. Like, what is it that I'm saying about the book that's making people buy it? Whatever it is. Number 16 is my favorite book cover of 2020, and even though The Diviners is my honorable mention, I think that I would say that the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix is my favorite. Like, of the ones that I've read this year, that one is just perfect. Like, I live in Georgia, so the peaches are perfect. I love vampires, so that's perfect. I think the whole book is stunning. Like, the cover is absolutely fantastic, and it's at that like perfect matte, like buttery, like it's just so... It looks gorgeous, but like texturally fantastic as well. Another question I've already answered, but question 17 is my favorite book to movie adaptation. Now, I have not watched any book to movie adaptations that have released this year, but I did watch Gone Girl with Grace, and that is one of my favorite book to movie adaptations I've ever seen, and I did reread the book this year, so in my opinion, it counts. Oh, question 18 is so easy. Book that made me cry the most? Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I know I've talked about it a lot. I know I have. And people have picked this book up because of me this year, and I'm so happy about it. But I sobbed like a freaking baby reading this book. I cried the hardest I ever have reading a book before. I read this twice this year. I listened to the audio like 2 weeks ago, and then I read the book physically like 5 or 6 months ago. When I read it physically, I cried a lot more. When I listened to it, I did also cry. But that plot twist, like that, the buzzing, like if you know, you know, it tore me apart. 19 is a book that made you laugh the most, and it's definitely Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I cannot wait for One Last Stop to come out in 2021. Am I right? It is so funny, like the turkey scene, everything. I laughed so many times reading that book. I also cried reading that book, but I definitely laughed a lot. It's like a freaking warm apple pie. It's so cozy. It's like a freaking warm blanket. It's like an Ugg boot. It's perfect, to be honest. 20 is a new favorite author that I discovered this year, and I would definitely say Alice Oseman would be my absolute favorite. I read all three of the Heartstoppers, which are on my favorites. I read Radio Silence, which is on my favorites, and I also read Loveless, which is on my favorites. So she is an auto-buy author now. Like, I am absolutely obsessed with her. I need to read her backlist. And then I would say an honorable mentions to Elizabeth Acevedo, John Mars, and Tiffany D. Jackson would be my honorable mentions of authors I discovered this year that I am going to read anything they come out with. 21 is my guilty pleasure book I read this year, and it's definitely Akawar, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I ate this book up. Again, I have a reading vlog about it. I devoured it. I loved it. It's like freaking 720 pages or something like that. It's like 690 pages. It's something absurd. But I adored it. It's not trash, but it's trash adjacent in terms of like, it's just flirty fun, but it's so good. Like, it's so good. Like, I really loved it. Like, I did not like ACOTAR, like, at all, but then A Court of Mist and Fury, I liked, and then A Court of Wings and Ruin, I loved. Like, I love all the side characters. I'm obsessed, but it's like kind of embarrassing to admit it, especially based on all the other things I like. So, oh God, question number 22 is really hard. My favorite book I reread this year. Ugh, okay. I have a top 3. I reread Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and Vicious. I reread other books too, but those are like my top 3 favorite. I think Gone Girl is gonna have to take the cake. Gone Girl, I rediscovered that book. This is the 3rd time I've read it, and I buddy read it with Grace, and it was just as good as when I read it the first time. It is just phenomenal. And I finally annotated in the book, like I highlighted in it, read it the whole bit, and it is worth every damn second of your time. Question number 23 is also super easy. What is the best nonfiction book you've read this year? The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. Are you freaking kidding me? Nothing's ever gonna compare. Nothing, period, point blank, ever. Now, I guess, should this fall under just true crime? But that's also nonfiction. It counts. This book is so good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything it's about, but it's about Ted Bundy's best friend, and she's a crime reporter, like, and she was like trying to follow the Bundy murders, not knowing it was her best friend Bundy. Like, oh my God, are you invested? Are you here for it? Because I'm here for it. It's so good. And she's such a good author. Like, her writing is so good. And I listened to the audio, and it was just everything. I'm obsessed with it. I know I've talked about it a lot, and I'm not gonna stop. Get used to it. And question number 24, our last question, is am I happy with my reading year? Absolutely. I read more than I ever have. I've read like 5 times more than I ever have any other year. I discovered BookTube this year. I discovered this Bookstagram, the book community. I am absolutely obsessed with all the things you guys are sending me, especially if you sent me any books this year. That is just beyond. And all of the feedback I'm getting and people talking to me about books, all the people I've met through the book community that I've become friends with, I just can't thank you enough for that. It's just such an amazing place to be, and I love that you guys have subscribed to me. And speaking of, if you want to subscribe to me, you can do that. Like, I'm not holding you back. That would be great. If you want to follow me on Goodreads or Instagram, that will also be linked down below. I want to thank all of you so incredibly much. I hope you had a very happy holidays. I hope you're looking forward to 2020 and 2020. Oh my God, what Katie, no. I hope you're looking forward to 2021, and I will see you in a video coming very soon. Have an amazing day. Goodbye.